What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Bourbon Buzz and Ballin' Podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and we're happy to have you joining us tonight. I think we got maybe the shortest and sweetest podcast we've had. Of course, we've been long-winded on most of them, but
I think we've said that a couple times. Oh, this is going to be a quick, short one, and then it winds up being the longest one.
That's true. We start running our mouths.
Yeah, that's right.
But we got some cool little topics to talk about. You know, a little bit of everything tonight. Kind of hodgepodge.
That's a good way to describe it. Definitely, some of the female athletes and male athletes, a little bit of every sport that we can talk about. So
that's true.
Yeah, and we got us a unicorn.
Yeah. It was a little interesting opening. ABC store opening up right around the corner from us. And I waited in line.
So how long did you have to wait?
Well, so it's kind of a funny story. So the opening, the ABC store opened officially at 10 a.m.
Okay.
And I actually drove by Friday night at 10:30, and there were 6 people in line.
I noticed in the picture you sent me some people with some chairs.
Oh yeah. So those 6 chairs, there were 6 chairs in line at 10:30, and they were actually walking back over to their trucks, because the sheriff's department wasn't letting you camp out. So what they were doing was putting their chairs in line, and they had their trucks and cars parked on another lot over, and they were tailgating. They had a little fire going, a little cornhole going, and they had some bourbon going, and I wasn't feeling well, and I was almost going to abandon the whole thing altogether because I just wasn't feeling well, and so I was like, man, I should go home and get a chair and just put it in place. Anyway, I didn't do that. So I went home, went to bed. I wasn't feeling well. I woke up at like 5 in the morning with my eye swollen shut, pink eye. And I was like, I'm not going. And then I fell back asleep, woke up, and I was like, I just got to go. I just can't. I got to. So cleaned myself up, got up, dusted myself off, got up there about 7:45, and the line was around the building at that point. And I actually drove around the building, was like, screw it, I'm going home. And I took the left and went around the building and was headed back out, and I was like, screw it, I'm going back. So I parked, got back in line, didn't really lose a spot. Turns out I was 89th.
So what did the guys that tailgated and camped out and all that, what did they get?
So the true unicorns was obviously, there was some pappy, some stag.
Okay.
There was I can't remember what it was. There was an 18-year, couple 18-year bottles, and there was literally only one bottle of each of these. So those were the true unicorns, and then the rest of it filled in with, there was a lot of Colonel Taylor's, they had quite a bit of Weller products. They had some Stag Junior, some Elijah Craig 18-year. They had a lot of BT, just regular BTAC stuff. They actually had bourbon cream from Buffalo Trace there as well. That I guess they considered that an allocated bottle. Yeah. So basically, there ended up being about I'd say anywhere from about 225 to maybe 275 total people there.
Right.
And from what I gather, everybody got something. I ended up, like I said, I was 89th, and by the time I got to the front, Weller 12 and Elijah Craig 18-year were about the 2 best choices.
Right.
And I chose the Weller 12 because, I've obviously been on the Weller kick myself. So
yeah.
But it was cool. It was a great experience. Everybody was really cool in line,
and of course he's got a TikTok on our page if you want to go check that out.
That's true. That was a little impromptu TikTok. So I learned a lot standing in line, and there's a lot of bourbon groups out there. We've been invited to join a couple bourbon groups, and in fact, the guy that was first in line has a group in Hickory and invited us to the group in Hickory, and so we have a few, opportunities to go taste some allocated bourbon, and
we need to check that out.
Yeah, he has 194 bottles in his collection currently. So
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was worth the 2.5 hours in line, getting rained on a little
Oh yeah,
bit.
I forgot that was my original question. How long did it take you?
Yeah, I said all that to say that. I love that saying. I finally, we got around to it at the end, but no, it rained on us a little bit, but not real hard.
Yeah.
So it was good, man. It was pretty decent experience. The ABC store got overwhelmed. Their registers went down, so that kind of made things a little long.
Well, it wasn't even their register.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, I went in the ABC store down there in Maiden Monday to get just some Maker's Mark. And I walked in, and their cash register was gone. They usually have two of them up there. And the one I usually go to on the left was gone. And I was like, y'all done some remodeling. And then the lady was telling me, no, the grand opening, their cash register didn't get there in time. So they took one of the ones out of the other store. So, and then I guess it wasn't used to that kind of volume and it crashed.
Yeah, the cards, it was crashing on the cards, the interface there. So, but they worked through it, and it was run well, and we had a good time. You know, they gave away 6. They did raffles, free raffles too, for the option to buy. 6 a 20-year, 3 20 years, and 3 18-year Pappies.
That would have been awesome to have your number pulled out of that.
Yeah, I actually missed one of them by 7 numbers. It was 7 people behind me got it, so we were close. We were close to getting a Pappy because I could have gotten a Pappy and kept my spot in line.
So you could have got both.
Could have got both with the draw. Yeah, exactly.
That would have been nice. Cool. Well, I can't wait to try it. I've never had. Have you had that Weller 12?
No. This definitely the only Weller I've ever had is the antique. I've had the regular weeded Weller, you know, the green label. I've had the antique, the rusty brown label, and then I've had the blue, which is the foolproof.
Yeah, the only one I think I've ever had is just the green label. I think it's the only
Yeah,
one.
I think I gave you that bottle.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a bottle I got early
Yeah,
on in the bourbon craze, given to me for free.
Right.
I wish I hadn't given it up now
because
I could
build the collection.
Yeah, could have put it as part of my collection.
Right.
But at any rate, it was money well spent for me.
Yep. All right. Well, let's start off with our opening toast.
Sweet.
I've got a few that I was going to give out. You want to go first?
Sure. I'll jump in real quick. Mine'll be short and sweet.
Okay.
The World Baseball Championship finished, and Japan won it. And of course, Shohei Ohtani looked like the best player in the world.
Right. He's getting paid that way too.
Struck out the supposed best player in the world. You know, that's a separate discussion that I would like to have at some point on Trout. But yeah, it couldn't have been even more scripted. Final game.
It was kind of crazy that it came down
to teammates and one maybe passing of the torch to the other. And
I actually saw where Ohtani's making like $65 million this year, this season. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
And he's the highest paid. But of course, you're getting the most out of him because he's a pitcher.
2 for 1.
Yeah, it's a pitcher and a hell of a hitter.
You're getting a starter and a 5-man rotation and a power hitter.
Yeah.
So I mean, that seems like a bargain to me, honestly. Right. If you think about Ken Griffey Jr.'s the 6th highest paid Cincinnati Red, did you say that? Fourth. Even better. 4th highest paid Cincinnati Red. I mean, it seems like you're getting a bargain on an all-star.
Yeah, no, he's impressive, and then it was like you said, it was cool that it came down to them two, and he struck Trout. It wasn't just a pop up or something like it was a strikeout.
Yeah, it was a nice pitch.
And they went undefeated in the Classic, didn't they?
Yes, Japan did.
Yeah.
Everybody else in contention had 1 loss.
Right.
So it was an exciting tournament. I loved it. It was fun to watch the games I watched. I think it outside of the injuries that took place, that could set that tournament back a little bit. I think it was a nice display of baseball that Major League Baseball needed desperately.
Right. Well, and it caught some heat for the injuries, but for the most part, I think a lot of the players really enjoyed it, really liked playing in it, and really wanted to see it stick around.
Yeah. I think I think every. I actually played my freshman year in college baseball. In college, I played with an Olympic. He was on the U.S. Olympic team from a little, that little small school I originally went to. So that was pretty cool, actually, knowing somebody that played on the U.S. Olympic team back then when it was nothing but collegiate athletes.
Yeah, amateurs.
Yeah, pretty cool, actually, to see, the patriotism that he had from that. So I imagine a lot of those players feel the same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got to run with a lot of track members that represented not only the United States but other countries too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was, and then watching them compete in the Olympics, it's pretty cool. So yeah, anytime somebody gets to do something for their country, it kind of takes it to a different level.
Right.
There's that whole patriotism, pride.
Yeah, you're playing for the greater good for everybody in the country.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're just representing yourself or your team. You're representing your country.
That's right.
So, all right. Well, is that all you had on
yeah,
that?
Yeah. I just.
All right. Well, a lot of times during this segment, if a legend passes away, we usually like to recognize them. So I'm gonna start off with Willis Reed. He passed away at the age of 80. He was having congestive heart problems. So, that's what took him ultimately. For our younger listeners, they probably don't know who Willis Reed is, but for our seasoned listeners, I always think, whenever I hear Willis Reed, I always think of him, that image of him limping out of the locker room.
Right.
And,
knees all wrapped up.
Well, it was actually he had a torn thigh, is what it really, and I don't even think I ever really knew what it was until just now. I just knew he was limping. And but he helped the Knicks win the 70 NBA championship, and then they won it again in 73, which is the last time the Knicks have won a championship. So
I didn't realize that was the last.
Yeah, so they're in a long drought. But yeah, he was Rookie of the Year, MVP, 7-time All-Star, a member of the 50th and 75th anniversary team. So he's a legend. I mean, he's up there, especially during his era. I mean, he was dominant. He was a physical dominant force. So wanted to recognize Willis Reed.
Yeah.
And then this guy is a former Alabama player that just announced his retirement. And when I think of him, I think he, to me, is one of the most underrated superstars that's come out of Alabama. You don't, and I'm talking about Dante Hightower. Mm-hmm. And, when you think of Alabama linebackers, you're thinking Derek Thomas, Cornelius Bennett. You think of a lot of guys. But Dante Hightower, you could put him up there with just about any of them, except maybe Derek Thomas. But, I mean, he was a 2-time national champion, 3-time Super Bowl champion, just a solid – I mean, he was a big-time contributor.
Oh, yeah.
In some, one of those Super Bowls, he could have been the MVP.
Should have been the MVP.
Should have been
honestly.
the MVP. Yeah. But when you think Alabama linebackers, he's probably not one of the first 5 that come to.
He's one of my 5. But certainly him and.
But I mean, here recently, you're probably gonna think of C.J. Mosley before him, and.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. C.J. Mosley's my favorite Alabama linebacker of all time.
Right.
Just because of where he came into the Alabama legend at, with the time frame. But Dante Hightower, man, he was just like the epitome.
Right.
The size. He was honestly, wasn't he our first of our 6'4", 6'3", 6'4" middle linebackers that could just play sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
He was like the beginning of the era for us having those linebackers.
And I mean, we obviously know how great he was and who he was, but it just, to me, it just seems like to other people out there, he's not. They wouldn't put him on the Mount Rushmore, but he's he might not be on the Mount Rushmore, but he'd probably be next.
He's knocking on the door.
You know.
Rolando McClain's another one.
Yeah, that you would think before Hightower.
Yeah, but you know
And then
he fizzled in
yeah.
the NFL, whereas Dante just flourished. But
Right.
even at the NFL level, he was still kind of like a forgotten one, even though he was
Right.
just the mainstay of those defenses he played on.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I wanted to recognize Dante for his wonderful career. And then speaking of former athletes, me being one, I found out today I got to place a vote for the Alabama male and female athletes of the year. And there was about five from each, 5 males and 5 females to choose from a various sports. Bryce Young was nominated. Of course, I went with Brandon Miller this season. I don't see how you could not go with what all he was able to accomplish this year. So I voted for Brandon for my male athlete of the year. And then the female athlete, I went with a track and field. And I wasn't being a homer, but I went with a track and field female athlete, Mercy. And I don't know if I'm going to say her last name right because she's from Kenya, but I think it's Shalangat. But she is like the SEC 6,000 meter champion, the NCAA 10,000 meter champion.
She's a long distance.
She's
chick, huh?
SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. She's All-American. I mean, her accolades are like a full page long. I'm not going to go into all of them, but as far as cross-country / distance runners, she's one of the best in the world right now. For me, it came down between her and Montana Fouts.
Yeah.
The pitcher for the softball team. But I just couldn't, with her being all these current championships and stuff, I had to go with her. So that's who I wanted to recognize was Dante, Willis Reed, Brandon Miller, and Miss Mercy. And then, of course, you had Japan.
Yeah, Japan was
World Baseball Classic team.
more so Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
I like the way the Japanese played baseball. I
Yeah.
just really appreciate their brand of baseball.
Well, that's that's the thing. Baseball, internationally, the U.S., it isn't just dominant. I mean, the rest of the world is just as good. I mean,
Oh yeah, Latin
America puts out a ton
insane.
Japan now, Mexico, Cuba,
Great Britain.
Yeah, I mean you've got great baseball being played all over the world. Basketball for a long time the U.S. dominated in basketball. Basketball has become an international sport.
Absolutely.
Soccer, to me, soccer, basketball, and baseball are true international sports where the U.S. isn't going to dominate. Now, football, we're still going to dominate in football. Yeah, so let's raise our glass.
Yeah.
Toast all those folks. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are you partaking on this evening?
I forget. No, old Forester.
The 1870?
1870, yeah.
Well, we mentioned we're doing the weeded Weller 90 proof.
Yeah,
So
12 year.
So we both went with a 90 proof because I know that 1870's 90 proof. I just went with good old Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark.
Yeah, it's a weeded 90 proof, so I figured I'll go with that theme tonight and
maybe not distort our taste buds prior to the Weller.
Exactly. And of course, this isn't aged 12 years like that one is, so I'm anticipating that one being just a little bit better.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Comes with some hype.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so let's definitely hope that it's a good one.
I haven't found too many I would kick out the door, to be honest with you. It's all good. So, especially of this old Forester line, for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, you can't go wrong with the old Forester. All right.
Yeah, let's
go from the good to the bad.
move on to the bad
Let's
guys.
go with the scumbags.
I got a couple.
You got a couple of, I'll go first then.
All right.
You went first on the toast. I'll go first on the scumbag. And I don't know what's getting into these women basketball players. not too long ago you had that Texas player, with the handshake line on the Louisville player, Haley Van Lith, and just kind of held her hand and got in her face and was talking some shit, and then Haley kind of pushed her away and kept walking. Well, then this last week, Memphis women basketball player Jamara, I don't know how you say her first name, Shoots. She's actually been charged with assault because she sucker punched one of the Bowling Green players in their handshake line. So, Bowling Green won 73-60, and this Jay Shoots, she actually is the leading scorer for Memphis, their best player, senior, and
she had enough of that trash talking, huh?
I guess there was also some talk that she caught an elbow to the face during the game. I haven't seen any video the only video I've seen is the video of her sucker punching this girl from Bowling Green in the line. So I don't know. These women are getting feisty in the handshake line.
Well, women can play too now.
And then I saw in the game between Iowa and Louisville, apparently Haley must like to talk shit, trash talk, because there's a clip of what's the real good girl, Caitlin.
I can't.
I think it's Caitlin Carter. I think is her name for Iowa.
For Iowa.
And anyway, Haley's talking shit, and she's like, "Look at the scoreboard." the old classic.
Tell me, man, that damn women's tournament. That game last night. I think the television ratings last night for the Virginia Tech game.
Mm-hmm.
They had the better television ratings last night for that game than the NBA has had at any point this year in any of their games. If that tells you anything.
What Dawn Staley's been able to accomplish at South Carolina is amazing.
It is amazing.
She's
Geno-esque.
Yeah.
Not quite though.
Not quite. If she keeps going at this same pace.
We probably 15, 20 years ago, if we had this podcast, we would probably have said that'll never be seen again. And here it is, right on the cusp of being seen again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's something else. I actually have heard rumblings of her maybe being offered an NBA gig,
crossing over into the men's game.
Yep, as a head coach.
I think actually she has had some offers in the past and didn't take them.
Well, apparently there's a potential offer from Temple University, the men's program may be asking her because she's a Philly native. And so she might cross over to the men's game as a head coach. That would be something. That would be the only thing I could see her doing outside of what she has now. Because, why would she want to go anywhere? South Carolina's a beautiful Power 5 to be at. So.
Right.
And she's built her own legacy there. So.
Yep. So that's my scumbag is Miss Shoots.
All right.
Who you got?
I got two scumbags.
Okay.
I'm gonna call out Dana Altman, the Oregon coach, the Oregon Ducks coach. Now this is about a week old now, but they had they were in the quarterfinals of the NIT. Oregon was. They had a horrible season, a losing record, and he came on and was moaning. He was crying and moaning about the attendance. They had like 3,300 in attendance for their quarterfinal loss to Wisconsin. And he was, moaning and crying about nobody was at the game to support the players. They've put in all this effort. They put in all the effort for like a 14-16 season.
Right.
And it was spring break at Oregon as well. And you and I both know at spring break,
it's a ghost
attendance
town.
Is horrible.
Yeah.
So, that's one of my scumbags. I'm like, come on, Altman. Who wants to come pay, $20?
Sounds like he's looking for a scapegoat.
Yeah, he's looking for because he can blame himself for being 14-16 at Oregon, especially. Of course, they might pick up LeBron's kid. I saw where Oregon is on.
I think it was Ohio State, USC, Oregon, and there might have been one more.
Well, I heard later today that Kentucky's a sleeper for him.
I didn't see
because
Kentucky
apparently Calipari offered him a scholarship when he was born. It's a true story.
I do remember.
It's a
Yeah,
true
I do
story.
remember that. I do remember that.
LeBron still has the letter. He wrote a letter and offered him a full ride.
Yeah,
when he was born.
I do remember that.
Kentucky's a sleeper, they say. So that's what scumbag number one. Scumbag number two is kind of an old story, but it's come back to light. Is the two cheating fishermen, that Jacob Runyon and Chase Kaminsky.
Yeah, I remember when we discussed that when they got caught.
Weighting their fish down. Well, they finally pled guilty. And so now they're awaiting sentencing.
You mean they didn't try to say that the fish ate those weights itself?
Yeah, right. No, they did finally admit to it. Well, I thought what was kind of funny about that story is, the unwritten rule among the fishermen, that bag fish and weigh fish, is that they always donate their fish to a local, what's it called? Can't think of, I forget.
Seafood restaurant? Or
no, like a soup kitchen or something.
Okay.
But obviously, fish soup. Anyway, they donate their fish, but these guys, they've never donated their fish. So that was red flag number one. That was red flag number one. And so finally, at this last tournament that everybody has seen the videotape of,
Well, I hope they pulled their fishing licenses.
Yeah, I think they're going to be forever banned. From
competitive tournaments.
Yeah, because they were just knocking these tournaments down, winning them left and right. And the fishermen knew.
What do you get out of that? I mean, what sense?
Money and sponsorships. They had to give up their boat.
Okay,
they had to give up their boat. So I mean, it was just to win. Yeah, just to win at any cost. It was a big cost, man. Those are my scumbags, man.
Yeah, those are true scumbags. Yeah, we had quite a few good scumbags this week.
I wonder if Chase Kaminsky is related to the former Chicago White Sox owner Kaminsky. He was involved in the Black Sox scandal. Well, he wasn't involved; it was his players.
Right.
I wonder if he's related to him. Just that's an aside note.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, let's just jump on some hot topics.
Sweet.
All right, where you want to start? You want to start with
March Madness?
March Madness. While we're talking a little basketball.
Yeah, we might.
Final Four is set. I don't know if this is the lowest seeded in history, but a 4, 2 5s, and a 9.
It's ugly.
It's ugly, but it's impressive.
It's exciting, but ugly at the same time.
Florida Atlantic, San Diego State. Who would have thought?
I know. How about this? It's the first Final Four in the modern seeded tournament era that not a single McDonald's All-American's in the Final Four.
UConn doesn't have one?
And it's also the first Final Four that we have 0 projected first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't my stats.
Right.
I heard this, but...
I thought Miami had a pretty high, maybe, but I think he might be like a second round.
Yeah, no,
grade.
I mean they've got a few. Obviously they've got good players.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it this deep. In fact, it wouldn't shock me that they win it all. I mean, I think UConn would be my choice to win it all. But I mean, if Miami gets past UConn, isn't that who plays Miami? UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if Miami gets past UConn, I think they'll.
Because FAU and San Diego State play each other.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I looked at that when I was making my brackets out. I looked at FAU and I was like, God, they got to be good for a reason, to run off 31 victories in regular season. I wanted to ride their backs as my Cinderella pick, and just not. I just didn't have the strength to do it, man. And here they are.
Yeah. There's probably some FAU alum that filled out a bracket with them, getting to the Final Four just because they're alumni.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe sitting pretty.
Well, that the coach, the head coach for FAU, since we're talking on it, Dusty May. There's been some video here lately and some convo here lately where he actually regretted agreeing to take their job when he took it.
Yeah, he was going to back out before he even started.
I know, and here he is in the Final Four. Yep. So, I mean, what Power 5 is he going to take?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about, Fairleigh Dickinson's coach has already turned their Cinderella story into
Sure.
He took the Iona. Patino left Iona for
Right.
St. John's, so that opened the Iona job. So Tobin Anderson, who was the FDU head coach, took the Iona job.
Right.
So yeah, then a couple other coaches that got new jobs out of this. Bama lost two of their top assistants. Hodgson went to Arkansas State, and Charlie Henry went to Georgia Southern. So they parlayed Alabama's great season into getting head coaching positions.
Sure enough.
It's going to hurt, especially Hodgson, because he was one of our he was probably our best recruiter.
Yeah,
Although Petway's a good recruiter.
No, I would think Petway's a good one too, and we're gonna be fine. But I mean, I think we're hovering around 14th right now in recruiting. We got 4 4-stars already committed, so I'd like to see us.
I tell you, the freaking transfer portal is blowing up.
Yeah. I mean, that's how some of these teams have made it. It's this deep, it's the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So you can build your program quickly off
Yeah,
of the
see, that's what
transfer
I
portal.
was, thinking of, do we do a respect show? And that would have been one of them, is the transfer portal. What? Is it good? Is it bad? You got, I mean, it's not these kids that are 10th, 11th, 12th on the bench that ain't getting any playing time. It's like top 30 recruits.
Sure.
It's 5-stars, McDonald's All-Americans that are.
Or they're getting run out of their former universities because the fans don't want them there.
Yeah.
Caleb Love.
That's what
UNC,
when I saw him go in, I was like, please, Coach Oates, do not bring in Caleb Love.
Right. I don't
think Alabama's got many spots available.
Yeah, but Caleb Love is a freaking ultra talented basketball player.
He shoots too much, though. He's
He
not
does,
a team player.
but man, if he begins to knock him down, that's a whole different narrative on Caleb Love.
Yeah, but he's too streaky, and he's too selfish.
Man,
he steals his teammates' girlfriends.
So athletic. Yeah, he's not a good dude, man.
He's a locker room cancer. I mean, no, please, Coach Oates, do not go after Caleb Love. Oh, and we had one go. Alabama had one go in. Namari Burnett.
Oh, did Namari?
Yeah, he put his name in, and I wonder, is he going to go with Coach Hodgson to Arkansas State?
I like Namari's game.
Yeah,
I like him. He just doesn't finish well.
He does a lot of little things. He plays hella defense, great defense. Not a super high scorer. He's not going to drain a bunch of threes, but so yeah, he probably will be able to go somewhere, a little school, and be the guy.
Good off the ball. Rebound. He does good on rebounding.
I wish him well. I wish him well
for sure.
But
no, I think the TV ratings will be interesting to see what the TV ratings are this weekend for the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're going to be good in certain locations. San Diego's probably going to have good ratings, and
Florida. You got two teams from Florida.
Atlantic. Boca Raton. I think that's where Florida Atlantic
and you got Miami, so you got two Florida teams. So
yeah, man, that Miami team, man, they are athletic. They always are. I'm happy for the coach, Jim Larinaga. He's a good one. I was happy to see him.
And then there's always old UConn hanging around.
Yeah. Good coaching, man. Good coaching.
Yep.
Danny Hurley, he was fun to watch as a player. I heard them. They were talking about him today. So, he was. It's funny because they were talking about him. He was really great offensively and horrible on defense. But as a coach, he's really good at defense, horrible on offense. But yeah, UConn looks good. I don't know. I like Miami to shock the world. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
I don't think it's going to be a shock at this point. I think the world's already been shocked with.
I guess we're all shocked enough
with what the Final Four is.
I would
at
love
this
to
point.
see Florida Atlantic win it all, but I like Miami's athleticism. I like that Isaiah Wong, man. The kid's real athletic. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
What next? You got anything else? Anything else
that's
on the?
well, the only other basketball news was Darius Miles, his attorney, filed for a new bond hearing to try to, based on some of the new evidence that's coming out that really shows Cedric Johnson being the aggressor in the whole situation. I actually drove by where it happened this weekend because it's right by where my daughter lives.
Right. Is it not taped off still? Or is it?
Now, so we cut through that way on our way home, and she was like, "Yep, right here." So it was interesting. But anyway, so hopefully, Darius can get out on a bond. So, but other than that, no, that was about it for college basketball. We've talked quite a bit, both men's and women's side. So, staying in college, the pro days for the top players have come and gone.
Yeah.
And I think Stroud put on a good showing. I think Bryce Young put on a good showing.
As expected, both.
It's still a lot of smoke screens out there as to what the Panthers' intentions are. But a lot of, after Stroud's pro day, everybody jumped on, they're taking Stroud. Then the next day, Bryce Young shows out, and, they're taking Bryce. So.
Yeah, and then there's leaked video of them telling Stroud, hey, when you finally move to Charlotte, let's play a game of horse,
Right,
so
yeah.
There's a whole lot of jockeying going on. But I think to me the predominant theme of pro days is they're basically worthless.
Yeah, it's all scripted. Anybody can throw
is.
against air.
Yeah, exactly. Put them in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt and let them throw to players that they're comfortable with. And what's the point?
Still, I guess you do. You can learn some things in person.
Maybe
sometimes
interview process.
Well, but also just one comment I heard was that Bryce really plays taller than he is because his release point is so high.
Yeah.
And they were also making comments like, "Wow, he's got a stronger arm than we thought." So seeing that velocity in person versus watching it on video.
Well, for Bryce, it was very important because he didn't throw at the combine.
Right. So I think there are some things to gain from it. But you still got to look at the tape. It's.
Will Levis had to have 2 dinners back to back. He went out with the Panthers for appetizers and a salad, and then went out with the Texans for steak and a potato. And they were asking him what he was going to eat and drink, and I said, if you don't want to get drafted by the Panthers, get drunk. Get drunk while you're at the table.
He's clearly 3rd or 4th. There's no way he's getting drafted ahead of Bryce or Stroud.
No, I honestly think it's going to be Bryce Young. Personally,
I'm starting to get that vibe.
I feel like it's too many smoke and mirrors leaning towards Stroud. I just think it's going to be Bryce Young, because he's so NFL IQ ready. Mm-hmm. And if you're worried about his size, then obviously pass on him. But he survived the SEC,
and that's what D'Amico Ryans, the new head coach of the Texans, he said he doesn't care what the size is. He said it's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
He said, look at the tape. You see what he did against the best competition out there. And,
the NFL is comprised of probably about 40% SEC. That's a number I snapped completely out of the air. But do the math.
Yeah.
And like you said, his release point is high. So, and
he's good at avoiding hits.
And he's good at throwing in lanes, and he's good at throwing in lanes because of his IQ. Mm-hmm. His pre-snap reads and post-snap reads. There's nobody better.
And I think that's what sets him apart from Stroud. Stroud, he was throwing to 5 first-round NFL wide receivers.
Wide open.
Yeah. So
wide ass open. And if Bryce Young was 6'4", would we even be having this discussion?
No.
If he was 6'4", 215, or 6'3", isn't that Stroud 6'3", 215-ish?
Yeah, but I mean Stroud.
Wet.
When you see them side by side,
Not a huge
I'm
difference.
not impressed with the size difference.
Not really. And
Now-
if Bryce was 6'2" and better, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
We would probably be discussing about what team Justin Fields was just traded to.
Right, exactly.
Because the Bears probably would say,
Sure.
"Yeah, we're going to trade you, and we're going to keep the pick instead of trading the pick." But
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Bryce Young going number 1. I think there's just too many things setting up. You know, the Panthers have brought in Adam Thielen. They brought in DJ Chark. They
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, they got Terrence Marshall Jr., who's gotten better. He'll be entering his 3rd year, which is the year of the wide out, so to speak.
Of course,
so,
you got Andy Dalton there that can, start the first few games.
First half of the season and let him sit and absorb the game from the sideline and be ready. And I mean, I just think everything points towards.
Yeah, I'm gonna start shopping for a number 9 Panthers jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Speaking of that, we kind of transitioned from college to pro. So
let me finish the college talk.
Oh, you got a little more college?
Yeah, I was just gonna make fun of Jalen Carter a little bit, the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, Georgia, you're high on the horse. I figured I had to try to knock you down a peg or two. You know, your first round. You know, he was actually being
talked as number one
overall, and I don't know that there's a stock that's fallen further.
Yeah. Now he's probably he might not even be top 10 anymore. And
I mean, he even was out of shape at his pro day. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's funny. The Bears traded out of that number 1 overall, and they still may wind up being able to take Jalen Carter if they want him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
What else you got on college?
That was it on college.
Okay. Well, the Commanders, they've got 2 offers. One of them's by basically the 76ers owner, Josh Harris, and he's teaming up with Mitchell Rales, who's a billionaire, and then also Magic Johnson is a member of that group, and they made a $6 billion offer. And then billionaire Steve Apostolopoulos, he's a billionaire.
He's a
Canadian billionaire, off of like real estate and stuff. He made a $6 billion offer. Now, this Mitchell Rales, he's got a holdings conglomerate that's headquartered in D.C. So he's familiar with D.C. And, of course, Philly's not that far. So it makes sense for them. Yeah, we'll see what everybody's hoping that the sale goes down before the draft, which you got about 4 weeks before the NFL draft.
Did you see where Mike McDaniel? Did you see that video clip?
Oh, about the coffee.
About the coffee. Like, I couldn't even get a free cup of
Yeah,
coffee.
really? You got a $6 billion franchise and I can't get a free cup of coffee? Yeah, Mike McDaniel. I'm a fan of his.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other in the NFL, one thing I heard was that they were wanting to possibly make roughing the passer reviewable.
Yeah.
And it's not getting the support that it needs.
No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
I saw where they have about 6 different, they're bringing back the number 0, and they approved that.
0, yeah.
And I thought for sure, I knew that the roughing the passer being reviewable, I thought that would be a done deal.
Yeah, no, I don't know that it's completely dead, but what I heard was that it's not, doesn't look like it's going to get enough support to be able to be reviewable this year. So that kind of sucks.
That does suck because that needs to be reviewable.
You got anything else on the NFL?
I mean, just nothing. I mean, Lamar Jackson. Interesting, though. Nobody seems to want him. Or is there a lot of work being done behind? Just
no,
quiet?
I actually think that teams are scared.
Sure.
He's a great athlete, but he puts himself at risk. You're gonna make this investment in this running quarterback that's more running than he is quarterback.
He's a better thrower than he gets credit for.
Yeah.
He's a better thrower than he gets credit for.
I think he gets the accurate credit. He's not going. if you keep him in the pocket, he's not going to beat you.
No, he definitely wants to be out of the pocket and off schedule for sure. That's where he's most dangerous. But it's interesting to me that, that in this era of running quarterbacks, you have Lamar Jackson, and I don't know if he's committed career suicide by
being his own agent,
representing himself, or if it's because of his injuries. The last couple of years he's missed the last quarter of the season.
Yeah.
So I think you add all that together, and an aging quarterback that's
Tua catches hell for being injury prone. Well, Lamar's missed more games in the last couple of years than Tua has.
Exactly.
So
and the NFL teams know that.
Oh yeah.
They know that.
Yeah. You hear some people saying that the owners are kind of blacklisting them, and but I think that there's a genuine concern as to investing all that money into him.
Well, when you win an MVP, you immediately get that bump in pay, that's
right.
Supposed bump in pay that he thinks has got coming to him.
Yeah.
But, it's just interesting to me that a former MVP, somebody considered, and a lot of what I talk about is from a fantasy perspective too.
Right. Yeah.
When you start thinking of quarterbacks, I got to erase the fantasy aspect of it for the show.
And he's young. I think he's like Stetson Bennett's age. Actually, I do think
he really is. He's
like
been
the same age.
He's been in the league for 12 years, and he's Stetson Bennett's age. That cat's gonna get a chance, though. I kind of think
I think he's going to be a sneaky steal.
Yeah.
Later in the draft.
Well, they're talking Brock Purdy's earned the job.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
Right, and he was Mr. Irrelevant.
Right, exactly. The last pick of the draft.
You got to figure, with Stetson's resume,
he's clearly on par with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, exactly. So if he goes to the right situation,
yeah,
I think he'd be successful.
I do too. I mean, I think he's got that.
He's got that
smarts.
Uncoachable. He's got that moxie,
desire to win.
That's it. He's just a winner.
Yeah,
he's a winner.
You can't really discount him on anything, even size wise. You really can't discount him because he's decently proportioned. It's not like he's tiny.
Right.
And he can run.
And he's fast. Yeah,
he's got wheels, and he's got a strong, accurate arm. Give him a pocket to throw in.
Yeah, I think he's going to do well.
As most quarterbacks, give them a nice pocket, keep them clean. They can pick you apart.
Well, I believe our short episode just exceeded last week's episode.
Did it really?
It's pretty close.
I still got more to talk about.
Well, baseball season starts in 2 days.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a more exciting story right now to me than that Anthony Volpe for the Yankees.
I watched the video today of when they told him.
Yeah, I like those videos.
Yeah.
Because they pulled that one off pretty good. Because I even knew he was getting the job, and I thought he was getting sent back down to AAA. 21 years old, man. He's almost on par with Derek Jeter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be the opening day starter.
No, I think they said he was.
Oh,
I think they told him you've won the starting job. Because I don't think they would have kept him up if he wasn't going to be the starter.
Yeah, I would have thought too.
Because you're starting his service clock, so you don't want to start it on your top prospect sitting on the bench.
Right.
That Dominguez almost made the roster. He had a hell of a spring also. But they did decide to send him back down. But I imagine he'll probably...
What, he's 19?
No, he's 20.
20?
Yeah. He just turned 20. So, the Yankees have got a...
Yankees always have nice farm
Well, but
talent.
they usually trade it all away because they're always in win now mode.
Right,
so
but
they always
can. They seem to have the best scouts out there, and they
because I was also reading about a pitcher that's a homegrown pitcher that they're high on. I can't remember his name, but
this Anthony Volpe, he's just across the river in Jersey. He's 30 miles outside of New York City, so he grew up a Yankees fan.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that's a pretty cool story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to a little minor league baseball.
Yeah, the Charlotte Knights.
Yeah, I do
Charlotte Knights
crawdads.
open this weekend.
Yeah. Be cool. That's all I got.
That's pretty much all I had. I'm ready to go over to that bar and taste that Weller and then rate that shit. See you at the bar.
Cheers.